class itself is called a recursive, sir.
Yes. So the definition of the recursive is when the function call itself is known as the recursive function. Have we discussed about any of the recursive function earlier in the first unit or a second unit? So first unit, have you studied about the Tower of Hanoi problem, right? Have you remember that? You know, you will be like this for 15 minutes. It will be fine. So I want the answer whether you have remembered the Tower of Hanoi problem we have discussed in the previous class, previous first unit. Vignesh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vignesh. Have you remembered the Tower of Hanoi problem that we have discussed in the first unit?
No, sir.
Moving a disk from source to destination. That is the problem of Tower of Hanoi. Moving a
Yes, sir.
disk from a source to destination. In that cases, I have mentioned that when the algorithm part, I have told that for this particular Tower of Hanoi problem, we want to use the recursive algorithm. So I told that what is meant by regression, then I will explain you in the third unit. So today we are going to discuss about the regressive functions and some of the string we have already discussed in the second unit itself, and array concept we are going to discuss. So this string and array we have discussed in the second unit. So for the basic we want to discuss today, and this is the regression function, a function calling itself till it reach the base value. So this is known as a regression. So before going to the regression function, what is meant by function? Can anyone tell me? What is meant by function? So have you able to see these lines of code? So this is known as a fruitful function because it is returning a value. So it is known as a fruitful function. So how many function has been declared here?
One.
One. Yes. So how many function call has been happened?
2, sir.
Two. So add of 2 comma 3 and add of 1 comma 2 is the function call happened in this program. Whether the function call is happened in the subprogram or the function call has happened in the main program.
Sir, the function happens in the main program, sir.
Yes, so it means that, so this is in this till the return C, the function in this program it is considered as a subprogram, and here the main program has been happened here. So in that main program, same function has been called twice with different values, right? So this is known as a function. So like this only we want to call a function from main program to the subprogram. So while coming to the regressive function, what will happen is the function call itself till it reach the base value. So this is the example code for this. We will move the example code. So what is happening in this lines of code? What output will I am getting over here? What is the process is happening in this lines of code? What is the program is about?
Sir, to find the factorial of a number, sir.
Yes, good. So we are going to find, we are going to write, we are return the program to find out the factorial of the particular number and how many functions. So what is mean by factorial? You all know that if suppose I am giving an input as 5 factorial, it means that 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, right? So it will produce an answer over here. So this is known as a factorial. If suppose I am giving a 5 factorial, it will produce the result as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 multiplication of all the numbers, right? So how many functions are there I am declared?
Sir, one function.
What is the function name?
Diff fact n, sir.
Yes. So whether it is in which prototype is being function prototype it is?
Sir, without argument passed and return value.
We are not passing an argument here. See the 7th line.
Yes, sir. Argument passed and without return value, sir.
Argument passed and with return value. You can see the 7th line where the function has been called here. It is mean by fact of n. So it means that we are passing an argument n with the value of an user input, whatever the input over here. So it means that we are passing an argument value with return type. So here we are getting a return value here, right? So it means that we are getting the return type also and we are passing the value. So it means we are passing an argument and with return type. So this is the function prototype. And where the function has been called?
Sir, in 7th line.
7th line. So it means that it will go, the program will start in the 6th line. We are getting an input from the user, it means 5 factorial. And after that, it will move to the 7th line. The variable of fact is equal to, we are calling a function fact of n, and it will search the program that where the fact function has been there, and it will go over here. And it will, now the n will be considered as 5. And here the n will be considered as 5. Here it will check whether 5 is equal to 1. The condition will be 5 is equal to 1.
False.
False. So it means that it will not execute the statement, if statement, it will go to the else statement. So before going to this, what is meant by 5 factorial? This 5 factorial I can return as 5 into 4 factorial and 5 into 4 into 3 factorial and 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 factorial and 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 factorial. So is this 4 step is correct or not?
Yes, sir.
It will give you the same value. Whether this 4 step will give you
Yes,
the
sir.
same value. Yes. So we can write, you just imagine that this 5 factorial has been write like this also. So in this program, these 4 steps are going to be executed and it will be producing by the value of the return value. Here, so this, you just keep this in mind and you can go here. So here, the fifth line will be if 5 is equal to 1, the condition will be false, right?
Yes, sir.
Then it will go to the else statement that return of 5 into fact of 5 minus 1. It means 4, right? Return n into fact of n minus 1. It means that what is the n value? 5. So 5 into fact of 5 minus 1, it means 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And again, here the function has been called again. So it means that it will go to the fact, it means that it will go to the fact of 4. So again, what will happen is 5 into fact of So what the thing it will be happen is 5 into fact of 4 has been stored here. So you don't consider this values and all. So 5 into 4 factorial has been stored here, and it will be storing in the return value. And again, this fact of 4 will be called, the function fact of 4 function has been called, and now the if statement will be considered 4 is equal to 1, the condition will be
False, sir.
false. So else statement will be executed. It means that return n into fact of n minus 1. Now the n will become 4. 4 into fact of n minus 1, the fact of n minus 1 will be 3. So here this statement will be stored in the return value 4 into fact of 3. And again, what will happen? Fact of 3 function has been called. So the value will be changing over here. 3 is equal to 1. The condition will be false. So else statement will be executed. Here return of 3 into fact of n minus 1. It means 3 into fact of 3 minus 1. So the value will be 2. So 3 into fact of 2 value will be stored here. And again, what will happen? This fact of 2 function will be called. So it will check again 2 is equal to 1. The condition will be false. So else statement will be executed. So return 2 into fact of 2 minus 1. It means 1. So 2 into fact of 2 minus 1 has been came here. And what will happen? It will again go to the if statement and it will check 1 is equal to 1. The condition will be
True, sir.
so it will be returning 1. So the return value of the 1 will be coming over here. So the returning value of the 1 will be coming over here. It means that the last step what we have got is 2 into fact of 1. So 2 into fact of 1 value is we return the value 1. It means that 2 into 1. So the value will be 3. And this 3 will be going to the fact of 2. It means that 3 into 3 is equal to 9. And this 9 will be going 3 into 1. 2 into 1. It means 2. Sorry. 2 into 1. It means that 2 and the return value is 1. So it will be consist of 2 into 1. So this 2 will be going to the fact of 2 function, the value of 2 function. So it means that 3 into 2, the value will be 6. And this 6 will be going to the fact of 3 function. So it will be 4 into 6, the value will be 24. And this 24 will be going to the value of the function factorial 4. So it will be consist of 5 into 24. 5 into 24, the value will be 120. Yes?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes. So the thing will be each and individual return statement, the function will be stored in the backup and it will do then a process like this. It means that finally this condition has been true, the return value will be go to the return function, and that return function, the function 1 will be there. For that function 1, the value will be consist of 1. So it means that 2 into 1, 2, and the function will be, the value will be passed according to the function. According to the previous function, each and individual value has been circulated, and finally the output will be displayed. Yes. Yes. If suppose I am
Yes,
giving
sir.
if suppose I am giving the 5, then what will happen? The value will be 120 that was displayed. So here the 120 will be, so here the return value will be 120, and that return value will return the function to the value to the fact variable, and here fact is equal to 120, like that it will be happens, and we are printing the fact values. So it means that 120. So this is known as the regressive function till the base value. So we, before going to the regressive function, we want to consider two basic things, that is, we want to set the base value here. Once the base value is not set, what will happen is the function will keep on executing in n number of time. That means infinity number of time the function will be executed. So the program will not be running over here. The first condition will be we want to set the base value before going for the regressive function. And second important thing we want to look into it is we want to call the function. We want to call the function inside the function. So these are the two conditions we want to look into when we are going with the regressive function. So it means that we want to set a base value and we want to call the function within the function. So this is the two important points for this regressive function.
Sir, if the input is 0,
Yes.
find the factorial of a given number.
Yes.
Sir, if the input is 0, then
Input
what
is
will be the
zero.
output?
Same problem will be coming out. It won't run. It won't run. So 0 factorial, always it will be 0.
Sir, 0 factorial is 1, sir.
0 factorial is 1, yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
it won't run. One minute. I have seen those lines of code for the input 0. 1 minute, 1 minute. Let's see the regression depth. Come back to detail. Yes. If you are going with an input is 0, then you want to change this lines of code n is equal to 0. Yes. Clear about this?
Yes, sir.
So we want to modify the code based upon we want whatever output we want to get, we can modify the code. If you are giving a 0 input, then you can represent that n is equal to 0. If you are having a 0 number only. So most probably to finding out the factorial, we will go with an integer number with when the number starting from 1 to n, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So if you want to go with the 0, then if you want to change the condition here, it's if n is equal to 0. In the first step itself, it will be executed and it will be produce the result. Or else you can go with if, else if and else statement over there, and you can give if, else if and else statement also. First you can check the condition whether the number is equal to 0. If it is yes, then you can print the result 1. If it is no, then again you want to go for an if statement and it will be checking over there. And if it is else, then it will be considered as a else statement. So what we have discussed in the previous class for finding out some of the program we discussed, right? For finding out the largest of 3 numbers, all the numbers has been same. We go with the if, else if and else statement.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Likewise, you can move with this. And first condition you can check if n is equal to 0. So if it is not possible, again you go with else if n is equal to 1. Next condition you want to give that n is equal to 1. Likewise, you can check that. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And these are some of the advantages of the regressive function and disadvantages of the regressive function. So this function, the advantages will be easy to write and code is easy to read and understand. And it will be reduce the lines of code when normally we are calling the functions. And these are some of the disadvantages and all. So not all the problem can be solved using regression. So based upon the output, whether you want to fix the baseline of the function, like that any program is there, then you can go with the regressive function. And if you don't define the base case, then the code would run indefinitely. So it means that if you are not giving any base cases over there, in this program I am given the base cases to check whether if n is equal to 1 or not. So this is my base case. So till this base case, the function will be executed. If you are not fixing any base cases over here, what will happen? Just you want to type this, and if you are giving this, it will run automatically. It will run till the end of the process. So it will go with the negative value also and it will produce the result. And debugging is different in regressive function as the function is calling itself in a loop and it is hard to understand which call is causing the issues. So which function and which statement and which lines of code the issues has been occurred. So finding out the error in the program is so difficult. And calling the regressive function is not a memory sufficient. So each and individual statement will be stored in the regressive function. In this case, this 4 line has been stored in the regressive function, and after getting the return value only, this function output has been displayed as 120. So in this case, 4 lines has been stored in the memory, and after getting the return value, the output has been displayed. So likewise, this is the smallest program. So only 4 lines has been happened. If suppose you are going for a large number of program, then the memory issues will be there. So these are all the advantages and disadvantages of the regressive functions. Any doubts in this?
No, sir.
No doubt, sir.
Yes. So this is also one of the important questions over here. And before I am getting some of the, have you taken the previous question papers from the Anna University? Is anyone
No,
having those?
sir.
No. So I have got one of the questions. You just go with those questions. So you can see here this is the 16 mark question that we have got in the previous year. So this is the first one in the first unit. I will share this question papers with you and you can go with those questions. So whatever the questions has been asked in the previous year. So it means that different types of iterative structure allowed in Python. Explain the use of continue and break statement with an example. So this is considered in a 16 mark question. It means that we want to write the iterative structure in your program, in your concept. And it means that while, do while, if else, so whatever the structure is there, you want to write all those structure, and we want to explain the continue and break statement that we have discussed in the previous class, right? So these are some of the previous year, only one previous year question I got. If possible, you can take all those previous year question for the last 3 years, and you can go with what are the question has been repeatedly asked in the Anna University, right? So in this third unit, you can see here, why are the function need 6 mark question? Why the function has been need 6 mark question? And in that, outline about the function definition and calling of the function. So you can go with the basic example of the function, and you can explain how the function has been defined and how the function has been called. So for this, you can write the basic function example. So for this 2 questions, you are getting 16 mark out of this. And you can see here string slicing. Illustrate how it done in Python with example. So string slicing we have discussed in the second unit itself, how the string has been established, that :2 and 2 : some of the slicing operation has been done there. You can go explain the string slicing concept and go with one of an example in string slicing and explain each and individual lines of code in the string slicing, then you will get 8 marks about that. And you can see here this, write a Python code to search a string in a given number. So this will be coming in your illustrative problem in your third unit, right? So likewise, you can compare the second unit also what we have discussed. So you can see here the second unit 16 mark, what they asked is describe about the concept of precedence and associativity of operators with example. So in this case, the operator precedence you want to write which operator will be working first. I have mentioned you one of the table over there. In that you want to write what are the operating precedent, which operator will work first. Likewise, you want to explain and you want to give an example. And now coming to the associative of operators with example, it means that the plus, minus, multiply, division. So what we have discussed, you have remembered that calculator problem, right?
Yes, sir.
So in that you want to, if suppose they are asking in 16 mark question, definitely you want to go with those calculator problem. If they are asking operators, you write and explain about the operators, you directly close your eyes and go for the calculator problem. You definitely score minimum of 13 to 14 mark in that.
Yes,
Fine.
sir.
Yes, so here you can see that only 8 mark question. What they asked only to list out the available Python keywords, compare it with the variable names. So what are the keywords is available? Whether these keywords are want to be mentioned, whether the keyword is mentioned in our variable name, if we can use those keyword in a variable name or not. So this was the comparison between the keywords and the variable. So this will consist of 8 marks, and here what are the statements, how they are constructed from variable and expression in Python. So this also we have discussed. So these are all the only simple topic that they were asked in the 8 mark questions, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I will share this one particular question. It means that this question paper was held in April and May 2019. It means 2 years before. So likewise, 3 years questions will be there. If possible, you can search in Google and you can take all the questions. For each year, we will get 2 questions. It means that in the month of April and in the month of December. So I will get a 2 questions. So for the past 3 years, we will get 6 questions, and in that 6 question, you can easily identify which are the questions has been repeatedly asked in the university point of view. So you can concentrate on those questions, right? So I will share that PPT with you in a Google Classroom.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So next we have already discussed the string, what are the string and what will be the index number of the string, that and all. So that and all we already discussed. And now coming to the string built-in function and methods. And can you tell me the difference between the inbuilt function and the user-defined function?
Sir, a built-in function means the keywords and the modules are already built in with the Python code. And user built is we want to design the code while using the program.
Okay, that's fine. So nearly it will be correct. So it means that built-in function is already predefined. So you want to insert the word. If they are asking a built-in function, you just mention that built-in function is predefined in the Python mode. The Python, what to say that? Python modules. So built-in function is already predefined in the Python module. The user cannot change or cannot modify those built-in function. So each and individual function will having some of the particular statement to execute. For example, I am telling that if sqrt is your function name, then what will happen? Sqrt of 25, then what will happen? Yes. SQRT of 20. We already discussed this lines of code also. SQRT of 25.
So square root of 25.
Yes, it means that square root of 25. So what will happen is print A, then it will print the square root value of 5. So it means that SQRT is an already predefined function. So what the operation want to be do with this SQRT is already predefined, and that operation will be executed by the arguments value whatever we are passing over here. Then the output of this will be 5. So the output will be considered as 5. So it means that we can, if you are going to looking into any square root function, then you can use the keyword as SQRT. So here string built-in functions and methods are there. So that are the function built-in functions I have explained, that SQRT. So here some of the string built-in functions and methods are available in the Python code. So here I have mentioned some of the built-in function that was available in the Python code. So I will share with this functions and all. You just go with the online editor and you can initialize the value that A is equal to happy birthday, or something like that. You can declare one of the string in one of a particular variable. And for this syntax is the string name dot method. So what method you are going to use by the string name that you have declared. So here I have declared that A is equal to happy birthday. That is my string name, that is A. And here is I have initialized some of the method, that is capitalized, upper, lower, titles, swap cases, split, somewhat methods I have mentioned here. So these are all the method that will be using over here. So if suppose I am going with A dot capitalized, then what will be my result over here? What is mean by capitalized?
Sir, the output is become the happy birthday is full of capital, sir.
No.
First letter will get capitalized.
Yes, the first letter will be capital. So it means that it will produce with happy and birthday will be, the first two letters will be capital. So you can see the second line, A dot upper. It means that
Everything will get capitalized.
yes. So what is mean by uppercase?
All letter will get capitalized, sir.
Yes, all the letter will be getting capital, and A dot lower, all the letter will be getting lower, and A dot title, the title first line, first letter will be given as a title capital. And likewise, these are all the methodologies that was available in Python. So I will share this methodology with you. Once in your free time, you can go with this lines of code in the online editor, and you can find out the result, what is happening for each and individual methods, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is the basic, the string We already discussed indexing, slicing, concatenation, repetition, membership that we are discussed in the second unit itself. And this is one of the things that we want to discuss, that string built-in functions and method. So these are all some of the methods that are frequently used method by using those string. And you just keep remember of this. And when we are going to the illustrative problems, some of the methods we are going to use in the illustrative problem also. So before that, you can do your homework by using the online editor. And next one, this list as array. So you all know that array is a collection of similar element, and element in an array can be accessed by index, right? So index start with 0, and array can be handled in Python by module named array. So we want to import a module named array. By if you are importing a module named array, it means that you are going to do some of the calculation by using the array. So this is the main thing. So to create an array, have to import array module in your program. If you want to use any array in your program, then you want to declare this syntax that import array. It means that if you are giving these lines of code in your program, it means you are going to do some of an array operation in this program. So this is the syntax to create an array. It means array name is equal to module underscore name dot function underscore name, the data type that we are going to given over here, and some of the elements in a particular list. So if you are before that, you want to create a list, or in the function, in the function itself, you can give the list items over there. So we will move to one of an example, then you can give the, you can see the syntax and you can give an explanation also. So yes. So how you will find out whether you are going to use the array function in your program, array in your program? You can see this last line. To create an array, have to import array module in the program. So I am importing the array module, that the syntax will be import array. It means that I am going to use an array function in my lines of code. So this is the syntax. Here I have given an example. Array name is equal to module name dot function name. Inside the bracket data type, I have created one list over there. It means that elements. So what is my array name here? In the lines of code, what is my array name?
Data type.
No. Array name. You can compare this third line with the syntax. Yes?
A, sir.
So A is my array name. And what is my module name?
Array, sir.
Array. And what is my function name?
Array only, sir.
Array.
Array,
Yes, it
sir.
means that this index which consists of two names in a common name, that also it will be considered, because we are given the array name, and we are, when you are importing the module name, you can take the array also as your function name. That will be not your problem. So it means that A is equal to A dot array, and I am doing some of the operation by passing those arguments. Whether any list is initialized there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so I am giving the data type is I, it means that integer, and I am giving a list, initializing list will be 1, 2, 3, and 4. I am initialized over there. So in the 4th, 5th, and 6th line, what is the process happening? So in the 4th, 5th, and 6th line, for I in A, sum is equal to sum plus I and sum. So here each and individual element in a list will considered as I in the individual loop. So in the first loop, what will happen is, for 1 in A, the condition will be
True, sir.
True. It means if the condition is true, it will execute the remaining part. So it means sum is equal to, we already initialize the sum is equal to 0. So 0 plus 1. So the value will be 1, right?
Yes, sir.
And again it will go to the loop for 2 in A. The condition will be
True, sir.
True, sir.
yes. Again it will go to the sum and it will consider that sum is equal to sum plus I. So previously we got the sum value is 1. So we are putting 1 over here, and now the sum value is 2. So I value is 2, so it means 3. And again it will go to the for loop process 3 in A. The condition will be
Also true, sir.
3 plus 3, it means that 6. And for 4 in A, sum is equal to 6 plus 4, it will be 10. And for 5 in A, the condition will be
False, sir.
yes. It means that it will go till the each and individual iterative process. For I in A, sum is equal to 0 plus 1, it will print the result as 1. For 2, it will print the result as 2. For 3, yes, 3 value is in the list A, so it will print the result as true and it will execute the statement. And here, when coming to the 5th iteration, for 5 in A, the condition will be false and it will directly go to the 6th line, and the final sum will be displayed as your output. It means that sum is equal to 10. So when we are running those things, it will produce the result as 10. So the list will be considered along with the array and it will do an operation also. It will do a particular operation that depends upon your program. But the concept is the list has been associated with an array. So list, you can take the list as an array also and you can do an operation, particular operation. So that is a major thing that we will discuss in the 5th unit when you are going with the file, reading a file and writing a file. On that time we will know how the array has been used while reading a file and writing the file also. Have you cleared this example? That will be very fine. So we are importing an array, and while importing an array we are going with those syntax, and in that syntax we are inserting a list over here. By using that particular list we are doing sum of an operation and printing the result. This is the basic thing.
Clear, sir.
Yes. Then we will move to converting list into array. So once you having a question that based on any name called array, you close your eyes and write the first line as import array. That will be very fine. If suppose if you are asking to write a code for converting a list into an array, or array into a string, or string into a list, whatever, a string into an array, whatever the question is depends upon the array, you want to write the first line as import dot array. So once you are going to use an array, you want to import the array module in the lines of code. So that keep that in mind. And here from list function is used to append list to array. Here the list is act like an array. So here we have created one of the list, and in that list will be acting like an array. So now we will move this lines of code. Yes. So you can tell me what is happening in this lines of code. Same program, but what I have done is I am not given the list value in the function in the array. I have given the list value outside of an array, and by this form list function, I am calling the list each and individual values, and I am doing the same operation and I am printing the result. So you can see here, I have given a list of elements inside the array itself. So here what I have done is I have created one list separately, and I am calling the null list over here, and that null list will be represented by the form list that I have, whatever variable I have given in the list name that was mentioned here, and here the I will take each and individual list element and it will check the condition and it will produce the output. Clear the difference between these two? Any doubts in this? Only two line has been added here. It means here I have declared the array element inside the array function itself. So it means that I am not going to take an individual value. It will predefinedly, it will take an individual value and it will produce the result. So here what I have done is I have mentioned the elements in a list in the outside of an array, and I am calling those elements in a list by using the form list keyword, and I am calling each and individual element in a particular list, and I am doing the operations.
Yes, sir.
Simple difference. It means if they are asking any array point of view, you definitely need to enter this import array, and here list as an array, you can directly give the list value inside the array itself. That will be fine. And list into an array, it means the list will be going into an array by using the form list by the list name. Whatever the list name you are given, the list name will be delivered there. Clear? So if suppose I am running this, what the output will be getting over here?
35, sir.
Yes, 35 will be my output, because it will take each and individual elements in an array and it will produce their output. So the output will be 35. So what we have done, we can get the element inside an array, or you can declare a list outside an array also by using this form list function. Yes.
Yes, sir. Now clear.
Yes. Then these are all the some of the methods in array, how the method has to be declared. So these are all the syntax, how the method has to be declared, and what are the example of each and individual method. So this I will share you the screenshot with you. You can go with an online code editor and you can do each and individual method. So you can do each and individual method in your homework also. That will be not a too difficult task. So it means that what are the syntax is there, and what is an example of each and individual syntax, and what is the functionality of the syntax that we have mentioned here. So here I am declaring that A is equal to 2, 3, 4, and 5 as an array list, and based upon this 2, 3, 4, 5, I am doing such sum of an operation over here. So clear about this? Any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
Yes. So we will meet you in the next class. It means tomorrow, 3rd hour, we will meet you. Before that class, you just go with those PDF what I have shared with you, and in case of any queries in those PDF, you can ask me in the tomorrow 3rd hour.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
what is the syllabus for
yes,
tomorrow? So
the syllabus
for tomorrow.
syllabus is first, second unit, second half, and the 3rd unit fully. So 3rd unit only the illustrative problem has been pending in as of your syllabus, and the illustrative problem was not taken in the MCQ question. So you don't worry about that. So maximum whatever I have covered in the classes, I have taken the question, and 1 or 2 topics that I have not covered in the class, but I have given the explanation in that PDF also why the bitwise XR and operation will be using like that. The question is there, and I have given the explanation in the PDF. If suppose you are able to understand by those explanation, then you can go with those explanation. If you are having any queries related to that particular problem or any other problem, in the tomorrow 3rd hour we will discuss about this queries, right?
Yes, sir.
Sir, the topic name from the unit 2 from where it's starting for the tomorrow.
1 minute. It will be starting from modules and function.
Okay, sir.
So you just go with those PDF what I have shared by you on yesterday. That will be very fine. So I have taken those. I have not created the MCQ questions and all. I have taken the MCQ question from the Anna University website, right? So they have fixed fixed this type of questions over there, and so that's why I have shared all the questions. The 300 questions also I have shared with you, and apart from 300, I have shared 200 also. We just concentrate on those 200 MCQs, and after going with those 200 MCQs, in case if you are having any doubt, we will discuss in the next class, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.